Just relax. Here's my coffee. Oh, send help. No! My skirt's caught under the chair. Is there something on my face? Oh, no, it's on the screen. What is that? No. Hi! I'm so glad you're here. I use a lot of thrifted materials in my projects, but sometimes I like to limit the scope of what I can do and challenge myself to only use one kind of material. Last year, I made a video where I make dresses out of thrifted pillowcases. I'm cold. And this time around, I'd like to use some thrifted bed sheets. And I have a lot to choose from. So let's take a look at what our options are. First up is a yellow floral flat sheet. Try saying that 5 times fast. Yellow floral flat sheet, yellow floral flat sheet, yellow floral flat sheet, Very pretty, very colorful. I also have this floral sheet, which has some daisies, daffodils, and tulips on it. And then we get into the character bed sheets, and I have accumulated quite a few. I have a Sven printed bed sheet. I like it because it's not super in your face. This next one is in your face with Olaf printed all over it atop a plaid background. Another very in your face option is Elsa, prominently displayed there. Oh! What was that? Oh, it was a bead. I thought a bug just dropped out of this sheet, but it was a bead, so everything's fine. Next up is the Star Wars Rebels, I think. My little sister likes Star Wars a lot, so I might save that to make something for her. Then we've got this very cute Monsters Inc. print, and I think I'm definitely going to use this because I love it. Next up is a vintage Scooby-Doo sheet set. I think I have every piece of it. I wasn't like the biggest Scooby-Doo kid, but when I was older I watched Mystery Incorporated and I really liked it, and that led me to revisit the 2000 Scooby-Doo series, What's New Scooby-Doo, and it reawakened my love for Scooby-Doo. How could I forget that theme song? And the Hex Girls. So when I saw this at a garage sale, I had to take it. Next up is a dinosaur. Dinosaur? Oh, look at that little dinosaur. Tyrannosaurus Rex, Stegosaurus, Spinosaurus. As much as I like this print, my little brother does like dinosaurs, so I think however I use this, I have to keep in mind that I also want to make him something out of this too. So I think that's a no. Lastly, I have the remnants of this Elsa and Anna sheet. I already made my little sister a dress out of this, so this is just what I have left. I don't think I'm going to use it for myself anyway. We're going to put this over here. So let's see. The Monsters Inc. print, happening. I've been too excited to use this, so that's a yes. Scooby-Doo, what will I do with you? Nothing yet. I feel like I want to save all of my Frozen sheets for the next time I go to the parks, whenever that will be, because I tend to make a few outfits whenever I go, leaving us with our 2 floral printed sheets. So I should do 3 this year too. So we'll do these 3. Here's our selection this time around. Now what do I want to do with them? The Monsters Inc. sheet is only a twin, meaning I likely can't get a full circle skirt and a bodice out of this. And I do want to make this into a dress, so I think I'll make it a sleeveless dress. As for these 2, I have some patterns that I purchased months ago but only just now downloaded, but I only printed out 1 of them. I think it'd be kind of fun to try out some new dress patterns because I feel like 2 of the 3 dresses I made last year were basically the same thing. Those being the Rapunzel dress and my Spider-Man dress. Similar necklines, puffy sleeves, full skirts. I want to try something new. So let's go make some dresses. Before I got to work, I had to put the pattern together, and let me tell you, that was a time. It was 45 pages long and in sort of an odd configuration, and then I ran out of tape. But luckily I had some misprinted mailing labels that I kept on hand, so I cut those into strips and put it together with that. Alright, putting the pattern together took way longer than I expected, and amongst other distractions, it is now very late. So I didn't get as much done today as I wanted. I think we'll be able to do a lot more tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. Hello, what you doing? Who's this stinky baby? Can I help you? Stinky baby. Lots of sewing to be done today, so I'm just gonna get straight to work. So I got to work ready to make a pretty floral dress for spring with maybe only a few stains. And then the pattern didn't fit the fabric. Or my table, for that matter. I need 2 of these pieces. What's going on with the— I didn't get anything done today. I spent quite a bit of time trying to make that pattern work and seeing if I had any other sheet sets on hand that I wanted to use for this, but I don't have any sheet sets I want to use with that pattern or can use with that pattern. And then I basically spent all evening on a side project. So we're just gonna try again tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Hello! It's the next day. So as I said last night, I got nothing done yesterday. Well, okay, that's not true. I did get a lot done for a side quest, but I didn't get anything done for the video because I realized that the dress pattern I wanted to use didn't fit any of the sheets I had on hand. The only option I had on hand that would have worked is the Scooby-Doo set, but I don't really want to use that for this type of dress. So I worked on the side quest for a bit to kind of step away from it and ended up not doing anything for the video last night. But after taking that time to think I have a better plan because today I had the opportunity to go to the thrift store to look for some other sheets that might work for this dress pattern because I am fixated on making this dress pattern work. I spent too much time putting it together to not use it. So I went to 2 different thrift shops today, struck out at the first one. I was looking for a full set or maybe 2 sheets that would look good combined together because this pattern takes up the entirety of a twin flat sheet, basically the entire thing. So I needed a whole set and it was surprisingly more difficult to find. There are typically more options in the linen section than there were today, of course, of all days. But at the second thrift shop, I did find 2 green sheets that are both flats and they seem to be exactly the same. So I am going to use those for that gigantic dress pattern. I also found some really cool upholstery fabric for 94 cents. So I'm excited to see what I do with that in the future. I also found 3 yards of elastic for about 50 cents and a floating shelf. So I did have a successful thrift shop run, which only ended a little bit strangely when the woman asked me if I was 55 or older. Listen, I'm pro-aging. Everybody does it. It is okay. But I'm not even 30 yet. But then I looked at myself in the mirror when I got home and then my brother sent me this on Instagram. Not knowing about the thrift shop incident, I am sitting here with my tea, surrounded by yarn and crafting things. I'm just gonna embrace it, I guess, because I have no other option. And even though I said, no, I am not, I think she might have given me a senior discount because everything was way cheaper than it was on the tags. So, you play old lady games, you win old lady prizes. So just call me Granny. I feel like I need a sweatshirt, a grandma sweatshirt.
My hip old granny who could hip-hop, bebop, dance till you drop.
Goodness gracious. Anyway, lots of sewing to actually be done today now that I'm more prepared. For the yellow sheets that I was going to use with this new dress pattern, I think I might want to try to make that into a skirt instead. I'm gonna get to work.
Okay. Time to finally get something done. I started with the Monsters Inc. dress using the top from this pattern and the skirt from this one. I had to call in the pattern weight reinforcements because I had so many pieces, but that's always fun because then I get to play around putting them back, and you'd be surprised at how many times I miss. As I was putting the rest of the fabric away, I realized that it kind of smells like acrylic paint, like that watery kind that comes in huge bottles used in an elementary school art class. Very odd because these have been washed and I don't own any paint like that. Putting the dress together took no time at all until I got to putting the bias on the neckline. I am awful at this, and I'm not sure why, but it's to the point where it's actually a fluke if I do it correctly. And yes, I did iron the skirt. Surprising. I know, I never iron anything, but it really does make it look so much better. To cover up my very ugly bias tape corners, I had the idea to put a little eyeball over them to cover them up. There are eyeballs all over the dress between Mike and the logo, so I thought that'd be a fun little detail to add. Then I remembered that I forgot pockets, so I whipped up a couple from the extra fabric. Honestly, if I remember pockets, there's a zipper, it's ironed, and it's hemmed, that's not me. The fairies have taken me, and you're watching a changeling. Then I made a little belt to go with it too, which is basically just a long tube that I top stitched. Next, I tried to work on the skirt with a pattern I bought years ago, but it only went up to a medium because I clearly didn't know what I was looking for. So I looked up some skirt patterns on YouTube to figure out what measurements I needed and used that to cut the pieces. I've linked the video in the caption if you'd like to try it too. Then I cut it out and started cutting out the big dress pattern as well. Spreading the sheet out was difficult, but I had my fun with it. And only gave up a little from time to time, but eventually I got it all cut out. And then I had to do it all again with the second sheet because I need 2 of these. And I cut out the bias tape, which was a lot easier than the dress pieces, and I tried to put the pattern away. I tried.
All right, the Monsters Inc. dress is basically done. I do need to figure out how I'm gonna fasten the belt, and I think I have an idea on how to do it, but I haven't done it yet. And I think I'm gonna save all accessory making detail work until the end. That way I at least have all 3 items made, and then I'll worry about details. I have the skirt panels cut out. I do have quite a bit of the sheet left over from making the skirt, so I might make a top to go with it and make it like a separates situation, but I don't know if I'll have time. As for the other dress, my pool table, which is my cutting table, wasn't big enough, so I had to spread the fabric out on the floor, and then pretty quickly regretted the sheets that I had chosen because they are very soft, but they are also very flowy, and they were a little hard to spread out. Eventually I had to take my long skirt off because number 1, it was getting caught on everything, and number 2, I was afraid I was going to cut into it by accident, and entered goblin mode, crawling around on the fabric, cutting it out in just my breakfast print bike shorts. But I'm a little worried that the fabric is so flowy and soft, it's just gonna kind of droop and hang. I'm not quite sure how that one's going to turn out, but we'll have to find out tomorrow because it's pretty late and I'm gonna call it a night. So I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. Oh, that's cold. Last night, I cut the remaining patterns out so that I would be all prepared and ready to put them together today, so that's what we're gonna do, and I'm just gonna get right to it and get to work.
This skirt pattern was pretty easy to follow because it's basically just 4 rectangles, a waistband and 3 tiers that make up the skirt. Each tier gets longer as you go down, and the edge that connects to the tier above it has to be gathered to meet its length. It would have been done a lot sooner had my machine not broken the bottom thread every few inches or so in the waistband, but I think it's really because I went too fast, so I slowed down and stitched over the entire thing again. Then I found a little hole in the fabric, which would not be the last, and quickly closed it up with a crissy-crossy stitch. Then I also found this little stain, which would also not be the last, so I covered it up with a little embroidered flower. The process overall was a lot of overlocking and gathering, but once I got the elastic in and closed it up, the skirt was done. Then it was time for the green dress. The construction of it is simple. It's only 2 pieces that connect straight down the middle of the front and back of the dress and then under the arms. I gathered the absolutely massive sleeves, ironed some thrifted interfacing onto the cuffs, and then embroidered some mushrooms onto them. The dress is really just a blob of green, so I thought some embroidered details would add a little something, and I'm glad I did. Then I put the cuffs onto the sleeves and tried it on, and it's something.
I got most of the sewing done today. Well, most? All. The skirt is for sure done. It's not as long as I expected it to be, but I think it'll still be really cute. As for the ginormous dress pattern, it's gigantic. I knew it was gonna be big, but I don't love the way it looks. It definitely needs some... Yes? Oh my. The green dress has very little shape. I think it's all because of the material I chose, but it was really the best option that I found that would fit the dress pattern. And the cuffs are a bit too big for my wrists, even though I did trim some off. They're still a bit too big and very easily slip off of my hands. I might take it in a bit. I don't want to take away from the bagginess of it because I do like that. I like baggy, but this is too baggy. So I might take it in a little bit tomorrow, and I think I also want to add some mushroom embroidery around the collar because it is so plain. But again, I will do that tomorrow because it is very late and this very sleepy girl is indicating that it is time to call it a night. So I'm gonna do just that, and I will see you tomorrow. Hello, it's the next day. Really not beating those old lady allegations, am I? Let's get this over with, shall we? I'm going to make some adjustments on the dress and then embroider some mushrooms around the collar, and then we'll be done. I'm still considering if I have time to make a top that goes with the skirt to make it a dress made of separates that can be worn separately.
Believe it or not, I studied 19th century French poetry.
Oh, although I did want to make the Monsters Inc. M to go on the belt for the Monsters Inc. dress, so we'll be doing that too. Turns out I have a lot more to do than I thought, so I'm gonna get to work.
I took the sides in by a couple inches and oh boy, I decided not to spend any more time trying to alter the fit or the shape because ultimately it's the fabric that I chose that is affecting the dress's shape. And so I just added some more mushrooms to give it a little more something. In my mind, adding little mushrooms or little creatures to a project is almost never a bad idea. And I got to work making the Monsters Inc. M out of some beads and a scrap piece of cross-stitch backing. I don't think I've ever actually cross-stitched because I bought this stuff to make a hand-tied rug and didn't know it was for cross-stitch. I've been obsessed with beadwork lately and I hope that interest doesn't fade anytime soon because I'm always happy with the results. Then I hot glued 2 layers of felt to the back, cut an opening in the middle to slide the belt through, stitched on a hook and eye closure, and then the belt was done. Oh, and I very quickly whipped up a little shirt to wear with the skirt.
Alright, all of the clothing is done. I did end up making a top to go with the skirt. I just kind of threw it together with 2 patterns that I know how to use. Actually, I don't know if I've ever used that sleeve pattern before. Well, I have now. All of the clothing has been made and all of the accessories are done. That means everything is finished, so it's time for the reveal. I think that went very well. It definitely had its ups and downs, but overall I really like everything that I made. The green dress, I do like it. It is very comfortable, and I think that's a big pro when working with bed sheets for clothing because they're made to be soft and comfortable. If you've watched enough of my videos, you know I love a dramatic sleeve, but I think I've met my match because these sleeves are a little too big, maybe? But overall, I think the only con to that one is the pattern being so large. I think the next time I'm going to try it with a more stiff fabric. These sheets are very soft, and I think that kind of affected the intended shape of the dress. And I think with a fabric with a little more structure, the sleeves will poof rather than droop. Right now it's kind of giving like graduation robes, but that's okay because it is still very comfy and very cute. Moving on to the yellow ensemble, I really like how that turned out overall. I do think it needs some sort of belt around the middle to kind of break up all of the yellow going on because it made me feel like just a giant yellow mass. But I think with some maybe slightly different styling that it can be even cuter. I think the only con to this skirt making process, I won't include the shirt because it was kind of just thrown on to the end there. But as far as the skirt goes, it takes quite a while to put together despite it being 4 rectangles, and that's about it. The time-consuming parts were measuring out each rectangle, protecting every seam because I have a feeling I'm going to wear this quite a bit, and then of course the other step to that time-consuming process is gathering these big long rectangles to match the length of the previous rectangle, so that took a while. But luckily, because it's a bed sheet, it already had a finished edge, and the bottom tier is, I would say, probably 95% that protected edge. I had to tack on a little rectangle on the end to make it the length I needed, and I zigzag stitched over that raw edge to protect it and stop it from fraying. I think the next time I try to make one of those skirts, I will make each piece a little bit longer to give it some more volume, which of course will take longer to cut and gather, but I think it'll make a big difference in the volume. And I think I saved the best for last because
Tell us.
I love this dress. I think it's so cute. I was so excited to find this. It was an odd little thrift store, but I was very excited to find a Monsters Inc. print bedsheet. I love the movie. Clearly, I have a lot of accessories that I've made for Disney bounds in the past, like these, bring both of them. Needle felted Mike and Sully earrings, and one of my favorite bags that I've ever made, my doors. But my new favorite accessory from this is the belt. I love how this turned out, except for the fact that while I was filming, I realized I'm Mermaid Man. There we go. Set it to Wumbo.
I Wumbo, you Wumbo, Ishimi, Wumbo.
I like the little eyeball details. Something I say quite often is unusual problems call for creative solutions. My unusual problem was my wonky corner stitching, but my creative solution put some eyeballs on it because the theme of the dress is monsters and eyeballs are kind of a thing. I also had to cover up some little imperfections on the other two, the embroidery on the skirt. That wasn't my mistake. In fact, that sheet was in worse shape than I realized because there were holes burnt into it. But on the green dress, I had to embroider over a hole I accidentally cut into the collar while I was embroidering the mushrooms. That wasn't great, but hey, I'm already in there embroidering, so I'll just embroider over the hole, cover it up, and nobody will ever know. Except for when I end up telling you anyway. So yeah, overall, everything went really well, aside from the 2 new spiders in my photo corner. It only took a week for 2 spiders to take the place of the 1 I got rid of last week. They're like a hydra. Oh no. If that's the case, I am in trouble next week. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wear these often because I really like how they turned out. And if you do too, you can let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see what I'm doing next and join the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when I post, hit the notification bell and YouTube will let you know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye! Put that thing back where it came from, so help me.